Star Wars used to be untouchable. It was the gold standard for sci-fi fantasy, the franchise that defined generations. It was a story that meant something to people, something that reached beyond just being a movie. It was a myth, a legend, a piece of storytelling that felt bigger than Hollywood itself. When a new Star Wars movie was announced, it wasn't just another release. It was an event, a moment in time that fans marked on their calendars. But now, something has changed. It doesn't hit the same anymore. The excitement isn't as strong, the anticipation isn't as electric, and the passion from the fan base feels different. People still love Star Wars, but not in the same way they used to. Instead of celebrating every new release, many fans approach them with caution, even doubt. That magical feeling, the one that made Star Wars more than just another franchise, is fading. Some blame the writing, some blame the corporate machine behind it, some blame oversaturation. But no matter the reason, one thing is clear. Something is missing. Something that made Star Wars feel legendary. It used to be a universe filled with mystery, adventure, and wonder. Now it feels like a brand being managed rather than a story being told. You can feel the difference. You can sense it when you watch the newer movies and shows. You can hear it in the conversations fans have. There's a disconnect, a growing distance between what Star Wars once was and what it is now. This isn't about nostalgia. It's not about refusing to accept change. Star Wars has evolved before, and when it was done right, people embraced it. But there's a difference between evolution and losing your soul. The original trilogy had heart. The prequels, for all their flaws, had vision. Even in their missteps, they had a creative spark. They had something to say. But now, too often, it feels like new Star Wars content is just checking boxes rather than telling a meaningful story. And when that happens, people stop feeling connected. So what went wrong? Why doesn't Star Wars hit like it used to? Why do so many lifelong fans feel like something is off? That's what we're going to break down. From the oversaturation problem to the writing that lacks depth, from characters that don't resonate to a corporate machine that seems to have lost sight of what made Star Wars special, it's time to take a hard look at what happened and what Star Wars needs to do to bring back that magic. Star Wars used to be an event. It was more than just a movie. It was an experience that brought people together. It made you feel something deep inside, something you couldn't really put into words. The music, the visuals, the storytelling. It all blended together in a way that felt special. Back then, you didn't just watch Star Wars, you lived in that universe. You imagined what it would be like to hold a lightsaber or fly the Millennium Falcon. It wasn't just another sci-fi story. It was a world filled with wonder and mystery. Every little detail mattered. Every scene had weight to it. Now, it feels different. That sense of wonder is fading. The excitement that once surrounded each new release isn't there anymore. It doesn't feel like an event. It feels like content. Just another thing being pumped out to fill a quota. The heart isn't as strong as it used to be. There was a time when you could feel the passion behind every choice. Now it feels more like a business decision than a creative one. It's not about telling a story. It's about maximizing reach, appealing to everyone, and in doing that, losing the very soul that made it special. There was a time when Star Wars felt rare. It wasn't something you got every few months. It was something you had to wait for, something that built anticipation. That wait made it feel legendary. It made each film feel like an event that you had to experience in theaters. Now, there's just too much. There's a new show, a new movie, a new spin-off, always around the corner. There's no time to breathe, no time to reflect. There's no time to miss Star Wars before the next project shows up. It's like a never-ending conveyor belt of content. And the problem isn't just the quantity. It's the fact that a lot of it feels rushed. When something is being made constantly, there's no time to make it special. No time to craft something meaningful. It becomes just another thing to consume, not something to cherish. When Star Wars was scarce, it felt precious. Now, it's just another franchise trying to keep up with the streaming wars. It's lost that sense of being something greater than just another IP. And when something stops feeling special, people stop caring as much. Star Wars used to have characters that stuck with you for a lifetime. You could talk about Luke, Han, and Leia endlessly. They weren't just characters, they were legends. They had layers. They had struggles. They had something that made them feel real. Now, it's different. Characters don't hit in the same way. They come and go, but they don't leave that lasting impression. They exist, but they don't feel as deeply written. It's not that they're all bad, it's that they don't have the same weight, the same depth. A great character isn't just about what they do. It's about what they stand for, who they are at their core. That's what made the original characters so strong. You knew what they wanted. You understood what drove them. They had arcs that felt earned. But now, some characters feel like they're written to serve a function rather than to be truly memorable. They show up, they do their thing, and then they fade away. No real impact, no lasting legacy. And when characters don't leave a mark, The story feels hollow. Dialogue used to mean something in Star Wars. It wasn't just about moving the plot forward. It was about saying something deeper. The words had weight. They carried emotion. They could make you laugh, cry, or think. They could make you feel something real. Now, a lot of the dialogue feels empty. It doesn't carry that same energy. It's just words. Just lines that characters say to fill space. It doesn't stick with you. It doesn't make you remember it years later. It just exists in the moment and then fades away. Storytelling used to be tight. There was setup and payoff. There was depth to themes. It wasn't just about what happened. It was about why it mattered. Every moment was carefully crafted. There was a rhythm to it, a sense of meaning behind the chaos. But now, a lot of stories feel like they're just moving from one scene to the next. Things happen because they need to, not because they should. There's no patience, no time to let things breathe. And when a story lacks depth, it starts to feel forgettable. Star Wars has always played with nostalgia. Even in the originals, there was a love for the past, a respect for the myths that came before. It was part of the charm. It made the universe feel rich. It made it feel like a legend that had been passed down. But now, nostalgia feels like a tool. It's being used to keep people hooked, rather than to enhance the story. They bring back old characters, old ships, old references, but they don't always do much with them. It's just there to remind you of what you used to love. Bringing back a character should mean something. It should serve the story. It should have weight. But too often it feels like it's just done for the reaction, just to make people say, "Hey, I remember that." But remembering something isn't the same as feeling something. Nostalgia can be powerful when it's done right, when it's used to enhance the present, not just to hold on to the past. But when it becomes a crutch, it stops feeling meaningful. It starts feeling hollow. And when that happens, it loses its magic. At its heart, Star Wars was always about something bigger. It was about hope, redemption, and the battle between light and dark. It was about family, about the struggle to find your place in the galaxy. Those themes made it resonate on a deep level. Now, it feels like those themes aren't as strong. The focus has shifted. The deeper messages have been watered down. The stories don't feel as universally powerful. They don't feel like they speak to something greater than just the plot itself. Star Wars was never just about spaceships and lightsabers. Those were just the surface. The real magic was in the themes, the emotions, the ideas that spoke to people across generations. When that is lost, the heart of Star Wars is lost with it. You can have great visuals, you can have action, but if there's no deeper meaning, it won't stick. It won't leave an impact. And that's why so much of Star Wars today feels like it's missing something, because the foundation isn't as strong as it used to be. There was a time when Star Wars felt like it came from a place of passion, like it was made because the people behind it believed in what they were creating. It was about storytelling first, about creating something meaningful before anything else. But now, it feels more like a product, like something that's being made because it has to be, because it needs to keep the brand alive. Not because there's a story that truly needs to be told. Not because it's coming from a place of passion. When something is driven by corporate interests first, the creative side suffers. Decisions aren't made because they serve the story. They're made because they serve the business. And that's when you start to feel the disconnect. When the art starts to fade, Star Wars isn't just another brand. It's something bigger, something that meant something to millions. But when the focus shifts too much toward the business side, it loses that spark. And when the spark is gone, people start to feel it. Star Wars can still be great. The potential is still there. The love for it hasn't disappeared. But it needs to find its heart again. It needs to feel like a story worth telling, not just a product to be sold, not just another piece of content to keep the brand alive. The magic isn't in the nostalgia. It isn't in the references. It isn't in the quantity of content being made. It's in the feeling it gives people. It's in the sense of wonder, adventure, and meaning. That's what makes Star Wars truly special. It needs to slow down. It needs to take time. It needs to remember what made it great in the first place. It needs to be bold again, to take risks, to focus on telling stories that matter. Because without that, it will never hit the same way again. And if Star Wars can find that heart again, if it can bring back that sense of wonder, then maybe, just maybe, it can be something truly special once more. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to subscribe to Critical Analysis Hub for deep dives into the Star Wars movies, and check out Critical Analysis Hub Plus for case studies on Star Wars shows. Also, if you want to rep the fandom in style, check out the bio for awesome Star Wars Legos and Funko Pops. May the Force be with you. I'll see you in the next one.